Bat squig! Bat squig! Bat squig!
Spiking bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Baer. Today we're checking out the new Nightvault expansions for Warhammer Underworlds. We've got Godsworn Hunt, so obviously some chaos, and Mollog's Mob with the Bat Squig and the Stalactosquig and the Gabberfrog, which is actually part of Mollog, and other things. So this is kind of an eclectic destruction chaos kind of mix here. These expansions are both $30 US ETB kits, and then of course they have the accompanying dice, which run for $10, and their iconic sleeves as well for $8, I think, on the sleeves right here, which come with enough for both the character cards and along with all the ploys and everything, like the ploys and objectives, as well for the different colors. Well, we'll take a look at those and show you the patterns here in a second. But let's dive into the kits themselves, kind of take a look at them, give you the gotchas as far as putting them together, because a lot of times it's easy to put them together, but it's like, how much work are you gonna have to do to make them look good? So first up is the Chaos Light box set here, the Godsworn Hunt. And these are interesting models. Of course, they're the Dacoiths, and we first saw them in Silver Tower way back in 2015, I want to say, maybe 16. We'll go with 16. Final answer. Neat little box set, and it kind of led to this. So that gives us some hope for the figures that were in Blackstone Fortress. Maybe eventually they'll kind of work their way into mainstream 40k, or at least get a faction book, or I guess now they could get rules in the White Dwarf. But the models themselves, you know, once they're together and painted, they look pretty good here. I like the paint jobs G-Dub did. You can tell they are ETB. They go together, I would imagine, pretty simply. And then it just kind of gives some previews and stuff on the box here. So let's get this open and show you the sprues and some of the cards. Sprue wise, it's going to come in this brown, which in the camera looks a little darker than it actually is. It's more of, I guess, of a Morfang brown and a Skag brown. It kind of shows up in the camera. I got to check my camera settings. I've been having a little problems with them. Maybe the saturation is a little too deep. I'm not exactly sure. Regardless, this looks fine. So I don't know. Maybe it's just all an optical illusion. This is the Matrix, and all of these models are chicken. So here's the warband and how it goes together. You can see it is the ETB. A lot of these are just kind of two slice here, where the caster, and then you've got the Conan looking dude here, and Mr. Hunter, Gatherer duder, and the pup, or the doggo, goes together left and right, half right there. And then you've got Crazy Axeman, Wannabe Legolas. I guess that's it. So they all look to get like two parts. Actually, this guy's three parts, I just noticed. So 2 parts for the most part, 3 parts for that last one. Pretty easy looking. We're not gonna super examine the sprues because I'm gonna put these together for you today. So we'll show you some of the detail once we get them together and kind of give you some of the gotchas, because there are a few gotchas generally on these. They are ETB, but if you snip wrong or you don't clean off the right piece of flash, sometimes you may have a problem, or you put the wrong peg in the wrong hole in the wrong order. So we'll take a look at that. For the most part, these went together pretty easily. Remember this, I don't know why, but it's appearing a little darker than they actually are. These are very light. Well, see there, it kind of represents better. Maybe it's the level of light and it's picking up at the depth or something like that. I'll have to adjust my lasers and things like that. Now I left all of the big chunks of sprue on there where you're gonna have to cut them off, just to give you an idea of how much maybe a little bit of deflashing and stuff you're gonna have to do. But as you can see, for the most part, the seams are hidden underneath and in spots. Now these aren't glued together, and these aren't completely push flush into each other, just so I can kind of unassemble them and do them up right hobby wise. But if you're just trying to get them assembled quick and together, they pretty much go together for the most part pretty easily, like I said. And I like the design. You can see here it's a little bit exaggerated because I just kind of slapped them together. But every one of these so far I haven't had any issues with. Just make sure you're clipping the little rods that go together, and you have a really sharp knife in case you kind of need to shave something to push fit it in. But like I said, nothing too crazy. This guy was actually the 3-part duder, and I was worried about him, but he went together fine. And oh, this guy I did actually have a problem with. So there's there's like this weird, it just wants to stick down here. There's a peg and a hole down here, so you may have a few problems with it, but I really like how they hid the seam line along the little bandolier belt, or whatever you want to call it, He-Man belt right there, going across the chest and then down the back right there into the pouch. That's very clever, and design-wise, I'm actually pretty impressed. But the doggo, not so much. You're going to have to use some Vallejo plastic putty to kind of seal up some of those holes. They tried to hide it here around the back of his neck, and down the side here, but there's detail and there's fur. I'm not sure. I'm not completely sold on it, but remember, if you haven't already, pick up some of this Vallejo plastic putty. I'll try to put a link. Remember to put a link in the video right there. But this stuff is money when it comes to dealing with these new seams and stuff like that from Games Workshop. Card-wise, 60 cards in here for the new Nightvault set. Now, these are the faction cards right here. It looks like a lot of interesting... I mean, some of them we've seen before. I'm pretty sure Death Grip we've seen before. They are reprinting a few of them. But some magic stuff here, some anti-magic stuff here. I haven't really dug into it that much. I've been a little kind of not keeping track of things, so to speak. But I really like the objectives here. There's some really interesting ones in this one and the Mollog's pack as well. Now these cards, there's 6 fighters. Actually, I think there's 29 of these cards and 31 of these, which equals 60. And there's 6 fighters. So there they are right there. And all of these inspire if you give them an upgrade card, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of similar to what we saw with the Skaven, except for you play a ploy on them. So this one you have to actually spend a glory to put a card on here. And then of course you got your upgrades at the back, your new magic, some ploys, and different things, but you're going to pick this up anyways. And of course you can probably find the full card list over on Warhammer Community already, or the Warhammer Underworlds section of that site as well. Let's take a look at the dice here, and I like the kind of pearlescent. They kind of shimmer. I didn't open these up yet, but they definitely shimmer a little bit. It's hard to see in the camera, so I'm really digging that. And then these are definitely just your normal just kind of flat, a little off black right there, but I like the little silver metal flake that's in the symbols right there for the defense dice. That's really nice. And then as far as the sleeves go, you're going to get 38 sleeves for the 6 fighters, and 16, I think it's 16 of each. 20 power and 12 objective. Okay, that makes sense. That's the game. So there's your ploys, there's your objectives, and there's your fighter clear sleeves that you would come to expect. But if this isn't the way you want to run your deck, like I haven't done a tactics on actually playing this in deck construction, but I honestly think 22, me personally, 22 to 24. I mean, this has 22 sleeves in here for that, but I almost feel like 22 to 24, sometimes as many as 26. But taking similar cards like +1 strengths and things like that, and having them in groups. So if you need to, don't be afraid to branch out and get just goldback and silverback cards. Dragon Shield has some good ones. KMC has some good ones, and you have extras too in case you split them, and you can use them across all your decks and sub them out because they'll be the same back. And that's if you don't want to spend $8 to do this kind of deal. It's just a little smarter personally. Next up is Mollog's Mob. Got all the squigs, love it. So here you can see how they're all supposed to look. Very striking, very individual, very, very cool. Lots of cool stuff right there. So apparently these are all both designed and manufactured in the UK. So that's always good to see. And then we bust out this, and it is some crazy, it's more of like a light purple instead of like a dark purple here. It's more of a light purple. That's more how it looks right there. So you got the 2 sprues that come in here, and then of course the instructions and the 2 decks of cards that we'll take a look at here in a second. Give you a very brief overview of all of that. And then as far as these go, we'll look at those more in depth here in a second once we actually assemble them, because it looks like Mollog is all pretty much right there. So instruction wise, let's take a look here. We've got pretty much a hollow inside here with the head on the front. Then you've got the club and the jabber toad holding in the hand right there, and then the shroom stacks go right on top, and that's pretty much it. And then it switches over to exploding fungal mans, and you've got the little studs of shrooms that go in the base. Then you've got Bat Squig, which looks to be a tongue wing kind of assembly with one stack of shrooms on the bottom right there. And then the Stalactosquig or the Cave Squig. No, it's Stalactosquig, that's what it is. And yeah, pretty easy. It looks like that tongue might be a little difficult. Might have to wrap it around or something coming around the inside of there. So we'll slap these guys together here in a second and have us a look. Woo! These were fun to put together. Holy cow. So Mollog himself, I think this is a 50 mil base here. Really crazy detail in this base here. And it's got some recesses too. So if you wanted to add some like clear water effects, like Secret Weapon Mini sells some of that. Or of course you could get it from Vallejo, or just use, I guess you could use Art Coat from G-Dub. But any just like clear coat really would go in there and make it look pretty realistic once you paint it up like a sump of some sort. As far as the model itself, you can see the chunks are still on here. I wanted you guys to see where all that was, so you would have to kind of trim it off. This is a little loose, his elbow joint, but once you lock it in right here, it shouldn't pop off quite at all. And then the joints are all very cleverly hidden underneath for the most part. Now this, let me show you something too that you want to, don't clip off these little studs, because that's actually what sockets into there. I made a mistake and clipped off one right there, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I should be able to glue in pretty easily as far as that goes. So that's Mollog. And then you've got the Bat Squig, one of my faves of all time right there. And you can see where the joints are. Probably won't really matter once you get it all glued down. He does have that big piece of like sprue right on his face, and then one on the stalactite there and one on his tail. Just be aware of that. No real gotchas there. Oh, actually there is a gotcha. So this little wing, I think it's this wing. So this wing slots, yeah, this wing slots through all the way. And then there's a little notch underneath this hole. So you might think that the tongue goes in there. It doesn't. That this is the recess for the wing. So just be careful with that one. And the Stalactosquig, I had a hard time trying to figure out where his eyes are. I think his eyes are actually, if you look this way, his eyes are right up there. It was really weird, but you do have to angle the little tongue up and out when you put it in. And as you can see, once you glue this down, those should pretty much be hidden as far as the little seam lines go. But I think, yeah, once you glue that in, it should be fine. And then the Spite Shroom, that's his name. Don't wear it out, because he ain't getting a new one. Because GW all out. See what I did there? That was around a fat beat. I actually trimmed that too far short, so there's going to be a little hole I have to fill. So again, when you're putting these little shrooms in here, there's little studs. Don't clip the stud off. No studs. No studs. Do not clip studs. But there he is. Boom. Just put that empty hole at the back. Nobody will notice. Nobody will notice. So there's those guys. And as far as the sleeves go, and the dice, more of a translucent kind of feel here. Those look pretty neat. It's a little bit, yeah, I think that's a fair representation of the color right there. So a little kind of cavey, little tealy. And then 36 sleeves in this one, because he has only 4 of the dudes, 20 power cards, 12 objectives, and then just like, you know, your standard, there's your objectives, there's your power stack, and then only 4 deuter cards right there. And like I said, just get some if you want to be universal and not spend the $8 on these and spend $8 and get, you know, like 100. There's other options out there. Chances are, if you're picking this up at your local game store, they might have some magic cards, and of course be carrying the other, I can never put those back in right, and be carrying the other sleeves. Oh, and one more thing too, Mollog was actually, this is the first in Gloomspite Gets. Mollog was the first, and actually I think what's his face, the other dude, the other Gets are in here too, but he was the first one to actually come out to have rules already in a Age of Sigmar book. I think he's 160 points, and all of his deuters have to be set up 1 inch around him, so you can't field him. And I'm sure we'll see some rules for the Godsworn too here on release weekend. I'm sure they'll post them up over on Warhammer community. So that's it for this one. That was our review of the Godsworn. Oh, we didn't look at the cards. Oh my gosh, you guys were gonna let me get out of here without looking at the cards. So here's Mollog's Mob. You've got the 4 fighter cards, and these guys inspire by 3 or more wounds on a friendly Mollog fighter card. So no wonder his deuters have to be near him, because They're basically, I don't know, like an extension of himself. And then you've got all of the faction ones, which you're probably going to see if you pick these up anyways, right? You're going to pick them up for these. But as far as the other universal ones go, there's some interesting ones here. I'm not sure I think that's just new art from Mollog. I don't think that's actually new stuff. So there's interesting ones here. I didn't go through them all. I do like the bag of tricks. Like Mollog actually has a bag and he's bringing it with him, and you know he's searching through it. Search your action is search your power deck for a card, reveal it, add it to your hand, then shuffle your power deck and place a charge token next to this fighter. So it's good and it's bad. It's good if you put it on somebody buster. It's bad if you put it on a beat stick, but that could really help you. I like that one. That one's pretty cool. And those were like the big one. We saw the preview for that one already. You can obviously look these all up on Warhammer Community. These are the more fun objectives. There's some really fun ones in here. You could probably just kind of hit the still button there and check them all out. I'll just flip through them real quick because I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time. Get the Hence is pretty good. There's another one too. Is it Frugal? I think it's Frugal. If you have some in your bank, if you have 3 glory in your bank, Press the Advantage is pretty good too. I can see where a lot of these are going to see play. Frugal. It score this in the end phase if you have at least 3 unspent glory points. I've had that quite a bit as well, so I don't see that really being something that people overlook either. So Mollog's Mob, boom. Godsworn Hunt, boom. We still know there is what we saw. There were 6 or 8. Now we have 4, so we're at halvesies. So there's 4 more to come out at some point this year. Maybe we'll get new maps. Maybe we'll get new card set this summer like last year. Who knows what's going to happen next? But either way, I can't imagine this has been an unsuccessful venture for Games Workshop, so I'd expect to see another season of Warhammer Underworlds kicking off hopefully this October 2019. So that is it for this one, you all. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching our unbox and build of the new Warhammer Underworlds Nightvault miniatures. I can't wait to get mine on the table and try them out and see what they're all about this weekend, hopefully. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can be the very first to like and comment on all our review and hobby videos.
Spiking bits.